What's up, guys? Welcome back to Rosie Wrestling. My name is Safe.
And I'm Massa.
And today we have our first ever retro wrestling review. You're going to be seeing these reviews about once a month, once every few weeks on Fridays. And today we're going to be starting off with the 1995 Royal Rumble. Since we are in Royal Rumble season, Royal Rumble is actually just a few days away. Also, if you want us to review any retro wrestling event, please let us know in the comment section below. But let's dive into this review. We start off with a limo coming into the arena. Pamela Anderson walks out, and a bunch of the wrestlers are there to greet her. I guess this kind of ties in with the main event because the winner is basically escorted to WrestleMania with Pamela Anderson. And, you know, she was a big star at that point. She was acting in the show Baywatch. And throughout the show, you'll see Pamela Anderson backstage having a couple segments. We're not going to go over those in detail, but she is at the show. Now, before we start talking about the matches themselves, I want to talk about the commentary team, Jerry the King Lawler and Vince McMahon. And this was such an underrated duo.
Definitely.
Vince, you know, with all of his talents, is also a great commentator as well, so he can put that on his resume. And Jerry the King Lawler played the perfect heel announcer role.
He's always been a perfect heel announcer, in my opinion. He just always knows what to say.
Let's go into the first match. We have Razor Ramon defending his Intercontinental Championship against Double J Jeff Jarrett, who's accompanied by Rhodey, who's ends up being Road Dogg a few years later. What'd you think of this match?
I actually thought it was a decent match. You know, Razor Ramon always pulls off some amazing matches. He actually came in as IC champ, and the match was kind of different because it restarted. They stopped it because Jeff Jarrett actually won with a count out. Mm-hmm. So he didn't get the title, so they decided to restart it, and Razor was really hurt. We could tell. I
thought after the match was restarted, Jarrett was doing a good job of working on the leg and making it a little bit more realistic. Also, what I like from this match and what I noticed is they went for a lot of pinfalls, just kind of showing their desperation to try to win the match. And you kind of want to see that more in today's wrestling because you don't really see many pinfalls, but here they were constantly trying to just beat each other, maybe get a lucky pinfall, maybe get a lucky roll-up, and at the end, Jeff Jarrett actually ended up winning with a small package and not a roll-up. I also really like the ending to this match where Razor had Jeff Jarrett up for the Razor's Edge, but he just couldn't do it. His leg gave out. Again, Razor doing a great job of selling the leg, and Jeff Jarrett doing a great job of working the leg throughout the match.
So throughout the match, we see Jeff Jarrett is imitating Ric Flair. He actually started doing his strut, and then he put him in the figure four, which I thought was pretty funny. You know, at this time, Ric Flair wasn't in WWF. He was in WCW. For the next match on the card, we have IRS versus The Undertaker. What did you think about this match?
I thought it was okay. Undertaker at this time was working a much slower style.
Yeah.
And we didn't really see how much of a great worker Taker was until maybe around the 2000s and some Attitude Era. But around this time, he was much more known for the character and less for the work rate. So altogether, it was a decent match. It was what it was. I thought what was interesting was IRS, being the father of Bray Wyatt, wrestled Undertaker here, and 20 years later, Taker would be wrestling Bray Wyatt at a WrestleMania. So I thought, you know, that's a great way to go full circle, and it was really interesting, and it just shows how much of a veteran Taker is, you know, wrestling throughout many different eras.
So in the middle of the match, we see Ted DiBiase coming back with two of Undertaker's druids, which he paid to go against Taker. So throughout the whole match, we constantly see them trying to interfere. Taker ends up winning via choke slam, and then King Kong Bundy actually comes out and hurts Taker, which we actually get to see their match at Mania, the following Mania. So this is kind of like the start of it, which is cool because the Royal Rumble is the start of the road to WrestleMania. So I thought that was really clever. So after all the chaos, we have IRS hitting Paul Bearer and taking Undertaker's urn, which makes Undertaker powerless. He wasn't even able to sit up properly, and he was limping backstage. That's kind of cool because it kind of shows how that urn is his power source, but now without it, what is he going to do?
So next we have the World Championship match between Bret Hart and the champion Diesel. This was put right in the middle of the card.
I was really surprised. I thought it would be right before the Rumble, but...
Yeah, maybe they wanted everyone to kind of calm down after this long match and give us a tag team match before we go straight into the Rumble. But altogether, Bret and Diesel, this is one of Diesel's much better matches. And Bret Hart, obviously, is the class act. Every match he has is great. You saw Bret Hart also do, I think, like a suicide dive from the second rope. And that's not something you saw at all in that era. And I remember Jerry the King Lawler even saying, like, oh, Bret Hart is pulling out all the stops here. And then here, like in every Seth Rollins match, he pulls it out.
One, yeah. So what I thought was really interesting is Bret Hart was actually playing the heel in this match. It was babyface versus babyface. But he wouldn't let go of the figure four when Diesel got the rope, when it was supposed to be a rope break. Even when they're cornered and you're supposed to break off, he didn't do it right away. He kept hitting him and
pulling off the wrist tape and taping Diesel's...
taping his legs.
That was kind of a heelish move. Bret, I wouldn't say he was a heel, but yeah, like you said, he's playing kind of the heel role in this match, even though he was still beloved by the fans in that time period. But this was a good match. But Earl Hebner, I guess, had the powers of the president because he just kept restarting the match.
Yeah, because also we see Shawn Michaels coming in and hitting Diesel, and then Owen Hart coming in hitting Bret. So it just, a lot of people got involved, and
Earl actually restarted the match on two different occasions. The first time, obviously, when Shawn Michaels came and interfered, and the second time when Owen Hart came and interfered. But at the end, he just lost control, and it ended up being a draw. The babyfaces, which was Diesel and Bret Hart, actually ended up teaming together at the end and just kind of like attacking all the heels who interfered, and they ended up hugging it out at the end. But I thought this was a good decision because it didn't make anybody look weak, and it planted the seeds for the WrestleMania matches down the road.
Next, for the Tag Team Championships, we had Bam Bam Bigelow and Tatanka versus 1-2-3 Kid and Bob Holly.
Yeah, and at this time, Bob Holly was playing the Sparks Plug gimmick, which is...
the race car driver.
The race car driver. This was just an awful time for gimmicks. I know Doink actually played a clown gimmick pretty well, but everyone else, Duke the Dumpster Droese and like Repo Man and the Goon, everyone was just playing these job gimmicks, which was awful. But altogether, I thought this match was a pretty fun match, and 1-2-3 Kid was just way ahead of his time.
I know.
He was wrestling like a cruiserweight, which he is a cruiserweight.
Small guy.
And he ended up being a light heavyweight when the WWF brought that division up. But I think X-Pac would be, or 1-2-3 Kid, would be perfect for today's era. But he probably would just be put on 205 Live and lost in the shuffle. But I thought he was a great worker for his time. But by the end of the match, Bam Bam Bigelow was on the top rope, probably about to do his moonsault, and Tatanka ran into the ropes by accident, which caused Bam Bam Bigelow to fall, and 1-2-3 Kid very slowly got to Bam Bam and got the 1-2-3. What did you think of the finish to this match?
So I was personally a little bit surprised that 1-2-3 Kid was able to pick up the victory in that fashion, because Bam Bam Bigelow just fell off the ropes. You know, for a man of his size, it is a little bit, it hurts a little bit more, but I still thought it was very reminiscent of WrestleMania 19, Triple H versus Booker T, and that really slow cover, which kind of pissed me off.
Yeah, I honestly didn't really like the finish to the match, but at the end, Bam Bam Bigelow was just talking trash to the fans, and then obviously he had that altercation with Lawrence Taylor, who was his WrestleMania opponent down the line, where he main evented WrestleMania with. That decision was sketchy, but that was big for them at the time. It got them some mainstream headlines. And like we said earlier, the Royal Rumble is truly the road to WrestleMania because the seeds were planted for this feud at this event.
So on to the main event, the Royal Rumble match itself. And we start off with the Heartbreak Kid Shawn Michaels and the British Bulldog at number 1 and 2. What did you think about this match?
Now, overall, I thought this was actually a pretty good event, but as a Royal Rumble match, I think it was one of the worst I've seen. Absolutely no star power. HBK and Bulldog, it didn't really even feel like they were Iron Men in this match because it just passed by so quickly because of the fact that there was 1 minute intervals. So I think that was a really bad decision. It really should have been 90 seconds. And those 30 seconds actually do make a difference.
So as you said, the intervals were really short, and Owen Hart actually came out and got beat up by Bret Hart, came in, and actually the other person came in after that because it was so short and got eliminated right away, which he was one of the bigger stars there and got eliminated in like half a second. Also, Bob Backlund came out, and then Bret also gave him some payback, so he didn't really get to shine that much either.
Yeah, overall, there weren't really any big names besides Davey Boy, Shawn Michaels, Luger. Owen was barely in the match. Bob Backlund was barely in the match. And besides those 5, I can't really think of anybody that's like even close to them. I guess Mabel was kind of getting a push around that time, but still, he wasn't like those 5.
So you probably already know the finish of the match because it's one of the most famous finishes ever. Me watching this before, I've seen that video a good 100 times. And I love seeing, Shawn Michaels hold on to the ropes and only one of his feet touched the ground, and now every single time we watch the Rumble, they always mention that both feet have to touch the ground. So I thought that it was really cool how they did that. Honestly, it gave me a heart attack seeing him hold on. I thought that he was going to slip any second, but coming back up, and he won the Rumble.
That was extremely impressive how he held on like that, and how he kind of faked it sometimes, like he was about to. So it just shows how great of a performer Shawn Michaels is, not just in the ring, but also just holding on to ropes. But yeah, iconic finish. Made Davey Boy look good as well because he was number 2. But as for a Rumble performance, I thought Chris Benoit's Rumble performance when he was number 1 and won the whole Rumble was much more impressive than Shawn Michaels is here because of the fact of the match only lasting about 45 to 50 minutes. So overall, like I said, I thought this was actually a pretty good show. The Rumble was really bad, but I think it was kind of saved by the good Intercontinental match, the World Championship match, and a solid tag team match as well. So I think it was a good show, probably one of the better Royal Rumbles as a whole, but the Royal Rumble match itself was probably one of the worst ones. It was extremely lacking in star power, and just the match itself was pretty clunky. So that's enough of us. Please let us know what you thought of the event if you've seen it in the comment section below.
Thank you all for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Rosie Wrestling, and comment down below any suggestions that you have. See you guys later.